Everybody, this is Brooke Lyle here on YouTube, and this is going to be a short video, probably less than 10 minutes. But just tonight, I was watching the Capitals against the Flyers, and Flyers won 5-2. It was in Washington. That's not the point. You know what bothered me? Is how Flyers fans took over. Every time the Flyers scored a goal, the Flyers fans, you could definitely notice it, like they were cheering. There's nothing wrong with cheering, but you know what it was? There's a noticeable amount of Flyers fans in Capital One Arena. There's about 20,000 people. There could have been 2,000 Flyers fans for my concern, yet you could notice them. It was just a frustrating game in general. I mean, the Caps committed so many penalties in that kind of second period. Sure, it was fun. Tom Wilson got into 2 fights. That was fun. I mean, that's what Tom Wilson does. It was very physical. I mean, it's a rivalry game. These teams are rivals. But what also happened is the Flyers are now within only 1 point of the Metro League, which is Flyers team. And give them credit, Coach Elan Vanier, who took over in the offseason. This was inherited basically the same team, not too many noticeable changes, I guess. Bringing in Matt Niskanen from the Capitals for trading him for Radko Gudas. I think that helps a lot. It's definitely an offensive upgrade over Gudas. So maybe that helps leadership. I think I give credit to the coaching staff. This goes from a team that missed the playoffs to a team that could very well win the Metro Division and has been one of the hottest teams in the Eastern Conference the last 2 months. I mean, this Flyers team is going to make it to the playoffs. The question is, do they catch the Capitals? And that's what I'm concerned about. The Capitals have 86 points while the Flyers now have 85. And if you're a Flyers fan, it was a huge amount of fun to watch, especially if you're at the game. And then I think the play they gave the Flyers a lead was late in the second period. A puck goes off a skate, and then Kevin Hayes just puts it in. Just a rebound that got loose. I mean, and looking at the replay, what that was is off the skate. I mean, come on. How's that supposed to happen? And it was intentional. And that's how the Caps lost. And then just taking over and scoring 3 goals in the third period. Voracek finding Provorov, who's wide open. It has a really good pass there. Kind of cross ice. And it ended up being 5-2. I mean, it was bad. It was bad, and just watching that game, thinking about Philadelphia sports fans taking over Washington, D.C. And it's not only that. What made me come up with this topic is I sent an email to John Kincaid, one of my who I used to work with in years past, who's a big Philadelphia sports fan. And what I'm here to talk about is Philadelphia sports fans coming into Washington, D.C. I was at a Wizards-Sixers game this year in Washington, Capital One Arena, about 3 months ago on December 5th, and the Wizards won that game. And the Sixers fans, I didn't really notice them taking over, even though it was Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. The Sixers were, I think, that's as good as they were all year. Embiid and Simmons are both out right now, and the question is, can they even get out of the first round? But that's a whole nother story. But just Washington, D.C., and then Philadelphia. So again, I think both of those cities are rivals, since Philadelphia is kind of sandwiched right in between Washington, D.C. and New York City. It's kind of the middle city. I mean, I've been through Philadelphia. Been there 4 times in the last year and a half. Yet I probably spent a combined, 30 minutes to an hour there. I mean, I could go from Georgia to New York every summer, at least with that last 2 summers. And I go through Philly, and I go through Philly on the way back. Don't stop there. But clearly their sports are rivals. Since again, last year, Nationals Phillies. I remember as a kid, okay? I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. I lived there until I was 15. Almost going on 16. And I remember in the early 2010s, late 2000s, the Phillies were kind of at their height when they were winning 100 games, winning World Series, going to World Series, whatever, you name it. Phillies fans took over Nationals Park since Citizens Bank back in the day. I mean, it used to sell out all the time, every night. They had so many sellouts. I can't remember how many in a row, but I think they sold out something like 4 or 5 years in a row. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, people love the Phillies when they're that good, and they just come down to Washington, go to games, and that's where they went. Since it's a lot cheaper just to go to Nationals Park than it was to go to Philadelphia. And they took over. I mean, they booed Jason Worth in Nationals Park in 2011. Jason Worth was booed in his own ballpark by Phillies fans. Okay? Turned out that move worked out great by going to the Nationals. Completely changed their culture. Big reason why they won the World Series, even though he couldn't have been a part of it. Missed by 2 years. And that's Phillies fans right there. And then you had to take back the Park Series. And then you then had as well, remember when Bryce Harper came back last year? And, what it was is they took over again when Bryce Harper came back. Like, this was Bryce Harper and Phillies fans. That was really annoying. Philadelphia fans. Are you kidding me? Again. And I remember, go back to playing the Redskins late in the year. There are probably, who knows how many Redskins fans showed up for that game. Takeover. The Eagles are right in contention late in the year, trying to win the East, which I'm glad they did. I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys. But again, taking over FedEx Field, which of course the Redskins were as bad as they've been in many, many years. The Eagles, again, 2 years earlier won the Super Bowl, and we're going for the playoffs yet again. Wentz led those game-winning drives. Eagles fans took over. So I could see why that I'm sure that would have been very annoying. Getting beat in your own stadium at home, and it sounds a lot more like Lincoln Financial than FedEx Field, right? So that has to be annoying too. And tonight, again, talking Caps Flyers. I'm sure this happened before. Since I didn't watch that game, it was so bad. The Flyers won 7-2 back on February 8th. So I'm sure they took over that time. And again, this is a Wednesday night. They took over again. So again, Washington and Philadelphia, I feel like the cities are both rivals. I mean, they're both old cities going back to especially Philadelphia. Philadelphia was one of the great American cities, 250 years ago in the 1700s. Washington, D.C. was well established in the 1800s. They're rivals. They're rival cities, especially when it comes to sports. Again, I just mentioned Redskins, Eagles, rivals. Caps, Flyers, rivals. They've met in the playoffs. They're rivals. I mean, again, why did Tom Wilson get in 2 fights? If they weren't rivals, would this be happening? I don't think so. All they hit is physical game. If they weren't rivals, would Flyers fans be taking over? Probably not. And I'm sure after the game they showed it. I'm sure on the Metro. I'm sure there were plenty of Flyers fans. Some, I bet, came up for the night. Some, plenty of Flyers fans in the Washington, D.C. area. It's just 2 hours away, right? And then Nationals, Phillies. This happens all the time. Philadelphia fans show up in Washington, D.C. and take over all the time. And now that I think about it, I mean, I don't remember Nationals fans taking over Citizens Bank Park. I mean, my memory's bad, but I just don't remember that. I don't remember Redskins fans going to Philadelphia either. Right? Now, obviously, Caps fans in Philadelphia, I'm sure they do that some, but I don't know. But again, close proximity, so again, that makes sense. The rivalry between the two fan bases. And look, this video, to be honest, I did not plan on today making a video of Washington, D.C. versus Philadelphia fans. But this all just came to mind tonight from watching the Caps-Flyers game in general. And look, what this means is the Flyers could very well win the division. Could be Caps Penguins in the first round of the playoffs. Do not want to play the Penguins in the first round of the playoffs. And yes, they are slumping. They just broke a 6-game losing streak. But again, tonight's game, I was excited for it. I mean, I was looking forward to it. I knew it was a rivalry game. I knew the Caps could extend their Metro lead. Instead, it is even less comfortable now, and it is possible if the Caps lose to the Rangers and the Flyers win tomorrow night. Flyers could have the Metro Division lead as soon as tomorrow night. This is getting scary. And based on what the Flyers have done, winning their last 3 games against the Caps, especially the last 2 in Washington, I do not want to play the Flyers. I repeat, I do not want to play the Flyers in the playoffs. And it will probably happen in the second round, since their momentum is much better than what the Penguins is. So you're talking about that. Right, so anyway, could we have to deal with the same stuff again in the playoffs? Probably not. But again, I kind of want a rematch with Philadelphia in the playoffs. Yes, I'd like to play Pittsburgh again. Either way, they're all rivals. All 3 of them are rivals against each other. This happens a lot in the Metro. Pretty much all those Northeastern teams are rivals. I could probably list out 5 different rivalry combinations or more in just the next minute, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to bore you all. So again, that's what happened tonight. That's just what's on my mind right now. Kind of instant reaction video. So again, who's won more championships? The Caps just won the Cup 2 years ago. The Nationals just won the World Series. But before that happened, about 4 months before it all happened, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So again, in terms of fan bases, Washington has 2 championships. Philadelphia has 1. Sure, the Phillies won the World Series 12 years ago. And the Sixers it's been almost 40 years since they won a championship, and almost 50, getting close to 50 for the Flyers. So Washington, D.C. is in the advantage right there. Obviously, Redskins over Eagles, but the Redskins have not won a Super Bowl in almost 30 years. So there you go. There. So again, that's kind of interesting. So again, rival fan bases. These cities have won 3 championships combined in the last really 2+ years. And again, it's fascinating. It's fun. I kind of like the Washington-Philly rivalry. Again, I'm a fan of both cities. I'd like to really spend more time in Philadelphia. I haven't done that yet, but again, that's just what I'm here to talk about. It was fun, just a little kind of want to do a little video that I kind of decided to do really 30 minutes ago. Just want to go on air and make another YouTube video, kind of voice my opinion. So anybody who's watching this video in Philadelphia, feel free to comment. Anybody in Washington, feel free to comment. I stick with Washington. Let's go Caps. Win the Metro. Win another Stanley Cup. Flyers fans, not this year. Not this year.